All right, well, I think we'll get started because it is 6:30. Oh, here's Michael now. Okay, I'll give him a second to get in. Okay, I'll get started. So we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:31. And this is the only meeting of the year that I, as a superintendent, get the meeting started until you have elected a chair. So I will just run through the first couple of agenda items and then we'll move on to electing a chair, and then I'll turn it over to whoever that individual is. So I'll start with public comment and see, Celeste, do we have any public interested in making comments on YouTube?
Nothing yet.
Okay. And there's nobody here. All right, so we'll wait and see if anybody comes for the second public comment at the end of the meeting. So this is our organization meeting. Congratulations on your budget passing. Nice accomplishment, and you clearly have the support of the Paulette and Rupert community, so well done. So the first order of business under organization, which is what we do at every March meeting, is to elect the chair. So would somebody like to move that you elect a chair?
I would like to make a motion to nominate Julie Mack as our chairperson.
Okay. Any second?
I second.
Was that you, Scott?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. So I will just essentially call your name, and you can let me know if you are in favor or not. Okay. We'll start with you, Cynthia.
Favor.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes, I'm willing.
Okay. Congratulations, Julie. You are the newly elected returnee board chair for the Mettawee School District, and I will turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you, Randy. Excellent. So congratulations, everyone, and we'll move right along and knock out this first section. Next up, we need to elect a vice chair. Can I get a motion on that?
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is there anybody who wants to be the vice chair?
Corey, are you willing?
I am willing, yes.
I'd like to nominate Corey
Okay.
for vice chair.
And I second.
Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, I have a nomination and a second, so I'm going to ask now if anyone has any questions or comments before we vote. Okay, Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for being willing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Corey.
And we have a new old vice chair as well, Corey. And now we need a clerk, which I believe this was Diane. So we are lucky enough to have someone taking minutes for us. Celeste is our regular minute taker. So it's not as bad a job as it might sound. So if anyone would be willing to be the clerk, if you could just, raise your hand, wiggle your eyes, something. Let me know. Scott is smiling ear to ear. I feel like that's kind of
Not my strong suit. Not smiling. But
Well, Scott, if you are smiling, if I nominate you, would it turn into a wince?
kind of, but
Well, why don't I take a risk and I'll nominate Scott McChesney as the clerk.
I will second.
Thank you, Corey.
As far as discussion, could we just maybe just go say what the duties are so that Scott knows?
That would be great if I knew.
I don't think there's much, Scott.
Uh,
The minute taking was the big one.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing ongoing. So if we didn't have a minute taker, you would take minutes. But full transparency, I always take minutes at every meeting, and I give them to Celeste. So on the occasion that it actually doesn't get done, I usually have them. So you've got a backup crew also.
Okay.
Other than that, there's not really any regular duties of the clerk.
I think the clerk is largely responsible for taking all of the cash and food donations.
Okay.
And writing up the warning, I believe, but it's sort of a template already, so it's not writing to do.
Okay. All right.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. Cynthia?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Scott?
Absolutely.
Phew.
Thank you. Next we have BRSU board representatives. Our current slate is Michael, Corey, and Diane. Well, our former slate was Michael, Corey, and Diane. So we will need a total of 3. Michael and Corey, are you interested in continuing?
I'm happy to continue in that position.
I can't
just-
this year. I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
So we need 2 new people then that
I
are
just
willing.
wanted to very briefly, the duties of being a board chair are attendance at meetings and keeping abreast of developments with the Taconic and Green Board, of which we are a side-by-side member. I don't know, Randy, perhaps you could extrapolate on, are there any other real formal tasks that way for
Sure. So as a member of the BRSU board, there's representatives from Taconic and Green, Winhall, and Mettawee board. And so you, because you don't operate a school, it's mostly personnel and voting decision-making types of things. So it does not, the BRSU board, you have to develop and pass a budget. That's the primary work. Hiring people as well. It meets less frequently than your board. It does not meet monthly. I don't know, Celeste, how many meetings a year? 5, 6 meetings a year?
bi-monthly? Yeah, it's 6 meetings a year.
5, including the board organization.
Organizational meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so it's got a different flavor to it, but you hear about things happening at the BRSU level as
Okay.
well.
I will say, excuse me.
I just wanted to thank Corey for her willingness to serve prior. And so we will need, Michael, if you're willing to continue on, then we just need 2 more people that would be willing. Cynthia,
Yep.
you're willing?
Yep.
Okay. I am willing unless anyone else is really wanting to do it. Okay. So can we just get one blanket motion for Michael, Corey, and myself?
Michael, Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Oh, I'm sorry. Corey, you can't go.
Can't get out.
You can if you want, but you would.
I really enjoy being a part of the BRSU board. I just have some time constraints this year that I didn't have.
I will say that attending that board is helpful insofar as you really get a broader perspective about how our board fits into the larger picture and how the Taconic and Green board fits into the larger picture at the state level, which is a helpful point of view to see, to recognize.
So I nominate Julie, Cynthia, and Michael for our slate to the BRSU board.
Thank you,
I'll
Corey.
second that.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Excellent. We have 3 new board members. Next, we have a support staff negotiations committee representative. So I will ask Randy to speak on this for a moment because I don't know how many people we want and she can just give some background.
Yes. So, we have teacher negotiations, which we just went through last year, but every few years we also have support staff negotiations. They're now part of a union. So the support staff are, typically we would just have one representative from Mettawee on this. So we're only looking for one person. They are up for their agreement to be updated this year, but they have not reached out to me. And my understanding is that they're going to request that they just have an extension and that the work actually happens next year. So you would be involved in the negotiation process next year. So typically that process starts January-ish, January, February, and you engage in a series of meetings over a course of months with Taconic. There'll be representatives from Taconic and Green as well as the support staff. And you would go through and update and adjust the agreement that you as board have with the support staff. Support staff personnel are people like paras, custodians, bus drivers, those types of people who work for Taconic and Green and Mettawee school districts.
Okay. So it looks like we need one person for that. Is there anyone that would be interested in filling that role?
When is it? You said negotiations usually January and February.
It's going to be over a series of months. It could be a little bit longer than that. Teacher negotiations went long last time, but support staff, Sue, you've been a part of it more than I have. It's typically not as long as teachers, correct?
Wouldn't think so. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to meet probably more than once a month, so maybe it would be a 3 to 4 month process.
Okay. I mean, I did it before for the teachers. I'm willing to do it unless anyone else wants to jump in and save me from myself.
Do we have to nominate you now then?
I guess so.
It doesn't seem right. You're taking on an awful lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility.
Okay, so who's going to save me from myself?
So January, February of next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually for work, January and February is a rough time for me, but I'll be willing.
Thanks, Anthony.
Do we need a nomination for that?
Yes, please.
I nominate Anthony and that he get a gold star.
A second.
Thank you, Corey. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Anthony. You will be our representative on the Support Staff Negotiation Committee. Next, we need to appoint a board member to monitor board self-assessment. This was Scott previously.
And is this connected to our learning and expansion into governance, policy governance structure? Or would this be taking place independently of that in any case? I'm just curious.
I think that's a great question. And you can even talk about whether it's something that you want to continue. It's not required. It's something that you had decided as a board last year, but I would encourage you to think about whether it's something you do want to continue. And you can independent or in concert with policy governance.
So I was doing this last time and I'm not really sure. I mean, when we were meeting in person, we filled out those forms and I was supposed to collect them and I was supposed to get a binder to put them in. I was promised a really nice binder, which I never got.
Well, then the world ended, Scott. So.
Well, I know. And I just, so I didn't have the binder and I don't have the forms to put in the binder, but I don't think I should have them, right? Because it's been all virtual. I didn't miss anything, did I? But my understanding was that was we were kind of keeping track of at the end of each meeting, we do that self-evaluation as a board. And I guess when we start meeting again, we would do that and kind of keep them cataloged, right? Is that kind of what this position is?
Yes, that's what we had sort of set it up to be. And like Randy said, if we want it to be something else, then that's our choice. This isn't a requirement for us to fill this position. It's kind of up to us. I mean, do you guys feel like we are getting anything out of this board self-evaluation? Do we want to table it until we fall further into policy governance if we do, or do we want to?
My feeling is, I'm not really sure. I think if we were having, back up. I think at the end of each meeting when we do that evaluation, I really like that. I think it kind of reminds us of the importance of that we're following the operating norms and that we're meeting those different areas that we're kind of checking those, checking ourselves and making sure we're covering what we need to cover. As far as gathering them and cataloging them, I don't know how necessary that is, but I would like to continue to evaluate at the end of each meeting. I think that that's really good.
I would echo Scott's point of view that way. I find that those reviews are useful and help to keep us focused, or at least, self-critical, which is valuable. But I don't see the point of necessarily having to create a formal file for them. All of these meetings are being recorded anyway. If we need to harken back, I guess we could do so.
I would be willing to take that on if we want any, just to sort of have a reference point. I don't think it would take too much to do. So that we can, I mean, if we have the survey at the end, just to sort of note it, and we could refer back to it if we wanted to.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll nominate Corey to be
Okay.
to monitor our board self-assessment.
A nice second.
Thank you. Okay, I have a nomination and I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll roll call. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey? Michael?
Yes.
Great, thank you, Corey. Next, item G, we need to appoint a truant officer. Historically, it has been Paulette's Constable Dave Ricard. Can I get a nomination?
I'll nominate.
Dave?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Michael. Any discussion? Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Excellent. Authorized chair to sign previously approved contracts. I'll need a motion.
Julie, it's chorus. Oh, the contract. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Shall I make that motion to authorize Julie to sign previously approved contracts?
Thank you, Michael.
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. Any further discussion? Okay. Cynthia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Excellent. Next up is item I, which is authorized chair to sign previously approved correspondence. Randy?
I'll move it.
Oh, thank you, Corey.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Randy, did you have anything that you wanted to touch base with on that?
Well, I just wanted to, to note that, that we're making this recommendation because we know there have been times in which you as a board have said you'd like some correspondence to go out, like when you sent a letter on behalf of the situation, or you're making, providing testimony for a VSBA or something. This allows you to decide that that's correspondence that you want to be communicated and for Julie to be able to sign off on it and submit it. So that's sort of the intent of this particular item.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Excellent. We need to designate agenda posting locations. Current posting locations are the Mettawee School and the West Rupert Post Office.
I'll move that we designate the Mettawee School and West Rupert Post Office for agenda posting locations.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anthony. Any further discussion?
Would we want to, now both Rupert and Paulette have kind of central general stores. Would we want to post it there as well, or no?
You can post it wherever else you want, but these are what you're going to be required to do because you've identified them. So you can always post them wherever, but if there's like a quick turnaround meeting, it's more challenging if you've got a whole lot of places that you need to get it.
Okay, makes sense.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Michael?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Next, we need to designate a newspaper. Our current is the Rutland Herald.
I'll make that nomination that we continue to use the Rutland Herald as our designated newspaper.
I'll second.
Thank you, Corey. Is there any discussion? Okay. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Excellent. Established board stipend payment date. Suggest February. That's what it has been in the past.
Move that we set February as our board stipend date.
Thank you, Corey.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Cynthia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Perfect. We have to establish district clerk and treasurer stipend payment dates. The suggestion for this is June. And I believe that the difference in this is that their term runs from July to June and our term runs from March to the next election.
I'll move.
Thank you, Anthony.
A second.
Thank you, Corey. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Cynthia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Now we have to motion to reauthorize the superintendent to sign orders.
Move that we reauthorize the superintendent to sign orders.
Thank you, Corey.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cynthia. She beat you, Anthony, just by a little. Any further discussion?
Very, very quick.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we will need to sign the code of ethics. Randy, we don't need a motion on this, right? We just all need to sign this.
Yes. So typically you would sign a code of ethics. You sign it annually and you would sign it at the meeting and just hand them to me, but we include them in the packet. So we do need them back. You can either scan them and email them to Celeste, take a picture and send it to Celeste, or you can drop it by the office, or you can send it through the mail.
Is this something that we've always done? I don't remember these.
You have, yeah. You've done it at least for the last few years that I'm aware of. I don't know how long ago it started, but I believe it's at least. I've been working with boards for the last 4 years, and we've been doing it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And then we need to go through some proposed meeting dates. So that's packet page 4. My only question was, so August will be our retreat, right? Are we still going to try to do that on a Monday, or are we, well, we don't know what's happening with the world, I guess.
Yeah, we might want to move that date a little bit later, unless that date works for you. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Now,
It's up to you on the day of the week as well.
Yeah, I would say August 9th. I mean, assuming hopefully we're beyond COVID, I mean, people may be traveling and stuff and the kids are still off from school. I would think it would be better to do it a little later after, when schools may be back in session, so we don't run into conflicts of summer plans or whatever. I don't know. That would be my thought.
I agree.
Even bumping it one more week would probably help with that.
getting it closer to the opening of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, as I recollect, is that haven't we usually done these on a weekend day? Morning?
You've done both. Yeah, you as a board have done it both ways. So that's all up for, discussion as well.
I think we should do it 2 Mondays later. And what is it, like a half day, if I remember right, or how long?
Yeah. 4 hours is my recollection.
Yeah, we did. We usually met in the morning and we were and then we would eat lunch together and leave pretty much right after. We had everything kind of wrapped up.
So two Mondays later would be the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I think that will work for me because I believe we will not be back with staff yet. So I can make that day work.
Okay.
But at that point, probably school would be back. That's probably about when do they start? Usually?
We haven't finalized the calendar yet, but we're looking at students coming back the following week. It's tricky for me to take when we've got the week that staff are coming back. I need to be there for staff
Mhm.
meeting and training and stuff. I couldn't take a day, even a half a day that week for this because it's our first week back with staff. But the 23rd is fine.
Or what about the week after that? The week after that, first week where you're busy.
So Labor Day is the 6th, which is that following Monday.
Can
But-
we do it the September 13th?
I think
Is
so.
there stuff that we need to address before school starts? I mean, we've
Oh.
always historically done this in the summertime, before it was June, but it was kind of like,
And you could move it back to June if you wanted.
I know this past one, we moved it to August because we wanted to wait because there was so much happening with COVID, but we had historically done it like in June.
And these are your regular meeting dates. So the retreat could be any other time. So this is just built on a calendar schedule of, I think you're the second, primarily the second Monday of the month. So the retreat day could be any other time.
Yeah, what about doing it like the first Monday of June or something? I just, it's just hard to say, that last week or two of summer vacation. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
it would be a bummer like that. Maybe that's the time that we're able to get away or something. And then, I don't know.
Yeah, so June 7th.
Yeah, how do people feel about that?
I
Maybe
agree.
it's more sensible to do it earlier in the summer, like you're proposing in June,
Mhm.
so we
Yeah.
can get that in order. Or because I know some of the work that's done in those meetings to some degree involved the board's intention and stuff that was sort of important going forward that would make sense to have somewhat in place prior to the school year beginning.
Yeah.
I think a June date would be probably better if people can swing that.
Okay, and just so we're clear, we have a meeting in June that's a regular meeting, so this would be an additional meeting.
Yeah.
Unless you decided to do the business that you needed to, because it might not be that much business on the 14th and just
Oh, I like the way you're
you wanted to.
Yeah, which we wouldn't have to make that decision right now.
Mhm.
Okay,
Would we not have an August meeting at all then? Is that,
no, we would still have the regular meeting on August 9th would still be a regular meeting.
oh, okay, so just our retreat would be in June. Okay.
So does somebody want to make so you want to make a proposal about the board meeting dates, but it sounds like you want to add in a retreat date on June 7th to that.
Would that require a separate motion, Randy?
No, I think you can, so the motion can be all encompassing.
So I think we could move to approve the dates as listed in the meeting agenda or in the agenda packet with the addition of a retreat on 6/7/21 at 6:30.
6:30.
So let's normally send out I thought we did a schedule thing where we were all trying to figure out a time for the,
Can we do earlier than 6:30? I mean,
because it was like 4, I think we did like from 1 to 5 this summer.
Fine.
Yeah, we can work on the time of the retreat and by scheduling that separately if you want. And
Okay, so then we could say at a time TBD.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone could make a motion like that.
I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting dates as posted and with the addition of the board retreat on June 7th with a time to be determined, I guess through an email for people to weigh in.
Survey, okay, perfect. Thank you, Scott.
Mhm.
You need a second? I'll second.
Thank you, Michael. Any more discussion?
If the one bit of discussion I would have would be that if we're doing it on a weekday, just for sort of reasonable convenience, it would be great if we could do it, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon rather than 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I guess we'll determine that when we arrive.
Okay. Thank you. So Celeste will send us an email survey to get some dates and times that would work. And then we'll solidify that retreat date. Any further discussion on this?
And I guess it'll be to be determined whether it's via Zoom, like remote, or whether a meeting as time goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back to in-person soon. Okay. Any more discussion?
I just wanted to clarify, so then if there's a possibility that the June board business meeting would also be piggyback onto the retreat? Or are we going to have the June 7th and then the 14th as well for the meeting slate?
So right now, I would just go with meetings that are listed, and then when we determine the date of our retreat, we'll also be able to determine how big of an agenda that meeting might be.
Okay,
Both meetings might be, and if it makes sense to put them together, we would, but I wouldn't remove the 14th out of our calendars. Just
all right, okay.
okay. Anything else? Okay, Michael,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes,
Anthony,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Would someone please be willing to review our operating norms?
can do that. Let me just get, there we are.
I had 'em.
Okay, as a board, we will focus on student outcomes, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, and run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, are transparent, and follow Robert's rules.
Thank you. And if everyone has had a chance to go through the minutes and the teacher contract renewals, could I get a motion on our consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Michael.
Second.
Thank you, Anthony. Is there any discussion? Okay. Michael,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Cynthia.
Yes.
Excellent. Perfect. Randy, it's all you.
Okay, so Brooke is going to present an update on goals. So for the new board members, all of our schools developed goals this fall in October. And so we're partway through the year. And so we are providing you with an update on progress towards goals. So the idea is that annually our schools are going to be setting goals, and then at the end of that year, we'll be providing you with progress toward achieving those goals, as well as looking ahead and setting goals for next year. So right now is sort of this progress monitoring dipstick on updating you on the goals that Brooke provided to you in the fall. So I'm going to share my screen, and then she'll run through her update for Mettawee. Okay, and then you'll have a chance to ask questions when she's finished. Just give me a second to get this up. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Why is this?
very slow. My computer's not happy these days. Okay. All right, Brooke, it's all yours.
All right, if you can go to the next slide, that would be great. All right, so we have 2 goals for our continuous improvement plan. One of them is based on academics, and the second is mostly about social emotional. So our first goal, you can read it on the screen, but our hope was that we would see evidence by a 10% increase in the number of students scoring at grade level in the area of reading for grades 1 and 2. You can go to the next slide. And the things that are action steps to get there is to attend the iReady training, in which our teachers did attend 3 trainings to learn more about iReady. And this year was our very first year using iReady. And we tested our students this fall, and our second winter session just happened in January. So I'll be sharing those results with you. Teachers will participate in professional development that includes instructional practices such as engagement and effective feedback, and we're currently working on that. To be able to conduct walkthroughs and being able to kind of to see what's happening in the classrooms. And that is happening along with other evaluations of the newer teachers. Being able to have the instructional coach, which is Nicole Zemp, being able to help and support us to deliver high level of high quality instruction. And she's actively supporting teachers now. And we together even co-planned our professional development, which happens throughout the month. So we meet every single week to do that. So she's a huge asset to our school. Creating a comprehensive K-2 literacy assessment plan, and we've already done that. And lastly, we'll be meeting monthly to review the literacy data and adjusting our interventions to support our learners. And that's an ongoing thing that we do with Mrs. Donaldson and Miss Kelly and the classroom teachers. So in this chart, I want to kind of explain a little bit about it. So you'll see on the very left side is that the grade levels K-6. The tiers are showing tier 1 is where we want students to be. Tier 2 means that they need a little bit more support and they're not quite on grade level. And tier 3 means that they're more intensive interventions that are needed for those students. I also want to point out that F means fall, winter, W means winter. And I wanted to show you the comparison between our scores in the fall and our scores in the winter. So if you can take a quick look at that. I just wanted to point out that in the green, where we want students to be, our grade in all grade levels, we shifted and had an increase from fall to winter. So there were more students in tier 1 for the winter months. So you can take a look at that. And at the very end, you'll see the overall average. So we had our students on the fall, 28% of our students were there. And in the winter, 40%. So our hope was that there'd be a 10% increase. And you can see that we did that for all grades K through 6. Another thing I want to point out is that we want less students in tier 3 in the red. And you can see that in the winter, from fall to winter, that there was a decrease from fall to winter in mostly every grade. And you'll see the percentages in the fall, 27% of our kids were in the tier 3, and in the winter, 15. So you could see that decrease happening. So just a big picture, looking at the green column, the percentage of students increased in all grade levels. This means that more students are meeting the grade level expectations. And then you can see that there was a 12% increase in the overall reading scores for grades K-6 in the tier 1 from fall to winter. And this is a summary, so it's the same exact thing I just stated. I just put it in words for you to see. Our next goal was to focus on having safe and healthy schools, which is really focusing on the social emotional well-being of our students. So we are continuing to use responsive classroom practices and implementing some new PBIS practices. And our hope is leading to a 10% increase in being able to name their feelings and learn how to regulate themselves based on the survey that they did themselves. It's a student survey. And the action steps that we're taking is using a second step curriculum that's used pre-K to 6. Kindergarten, the preschool teacher uses the program within her classroom, and our guidance counselor teaches grades K to 6. We have a social emotional team that we've formed. We meet monthly, and we're attending professional development workshops. And we are sharing different goals and working towards that. For example, we're learning right now more about the restorative circles, and we're hoping to implement them with adults this spring. And then the student survey, our hope is to do it 2 times a year. We did it in December, and our hope is to do it at the end of the year. And then being able to share out with you, we're hoping that we'll have a 10% increase. So right now, I can't tell you that we've made that because we've only had one of the surveys, but we will have another to compare to this spring. But we did have our students take the survey. One of the questions asked, I can talk about how I'm feeling. And you can see that 45% of our students agree that they can do that. 34.6 are neutral, and 20% disagree, that they are not able to talk about how they're feeling. And the main thing that we're teaching right now is self-regulation strategies and how to help them with being able to name their feelings, starting even with our preschoolers. The next one, another questions we asked is, I can control myself when I'm sad, angry, and mad. And you can see that 51% of our students agree that they can do that. 36% are neutral, and 12% disagree, that they feel like they can't do that. And the strategies that we're teaching in our classrooms is how to handle strong emotions. And one of the strategies is to learn about the calm down strategies, and belly breathing is one, and problem solving skills. So I pulled out of the curriculum on the next slide, just some of the strategies that are being taught. So how to calm your body. One is to stop and use a signal to know that your body needs a break. To name your feelings, so teaching them what those emotions mean. And then the calm down strategy they can use. They can breathe, count, or use positive self-talk. And that's what she's doing right now in our grades K through 3 as part of her guidance classes, is how to teach them these strategies. So that's it. Thank you very much. And I'm open to some questions that you have.
When can you start doing those workshops with the adults? We all need them desperately, whether we're
Yes.
willing to admit it or not.
Very true.
Brooke, I had a question on your first goal with the increased literacy. That goal was specific to grades 1 and 2, correct?
Yes. And by doing that, our number size is so small. But you could see that in the chart that it compares. So I didn't want to just show you first and second grade. I figured a lot of you would want to see how is the whole school doing. So I showed K to 6. But you can easily see how that we're doing in first grade and second grade. But I included more than just, I feel like it's such a small part of our school as just first and second grade. But so I included all. But you could see like the first and second grades there, and we did well. But I just want to make sure that I felt like it was just a small number size, and that more people would want to see how we are doing. And moving forward, you know, as a leadership team, we met last week, and we are really thinking that we shouldn't set a goal with just 2 grades. I think that so limits us, that we really should be focusing on goals for all kids and all learners K through 6. So that's why I did the chart the way I did it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a way for us to look at this again? Or is it published somewhere?
We're gonna post it.
Okay,
So
great.
we'll put it, we can send it to you. Celeste and I, we always kind of capture it. I'm happy to email the slides to you so you can see them. Brooke, you did a terrific job, and it is really nice to see that growth. And especially in a year like now, where we know that the narrative across the country is, you know, focused a lot on loss. And we're really choosing to not contribute to that narrative. We want to be meeting our learners where they are, and we want to help each of them grow from wherever they are. We think that that's best developmentally, psychologically, academically for our students. So seeing the growth from the fall to winter scores on iReady for the school, those are really, really strong. So nice work to you and to your teachers and staff for all they've done to make that happen. And I know I'm looking forward to seeing what comes, where you are at the end of the year. But we often kind of look at this year and say, it's really tough to compare this to previous years. It's really difficult to predict anything moving forward. But nevertheless, I always come back to, we want our kids to be growing. We want them to be moving. And it's clear that that's happening at Mettawee. And so, yeah, nice job.
It does seem very positive, and I do like the way that it puts that all into perspective. Yeah, great.
And one more comment, I am meeting with the classroom teachers the next couple weeks just to have a conversation with them individually about their classes and students. So I feel like it's not just we look at it once with a leadership team. I did that last week. I'm sharing it with all staff tomorrow, and then individually teachers were meeting. So I think those conversations are enriching and so helpful for everyone.
I just had a question, and it's nice to see that improvement. It's great. I was wondering how do they quantify that percentage improvement? Is there testing within the iReady, or and the second question is, I'm curious, do the teachers seem to like that program? Like, what's the feedback you get from them?
Sure. So we had this test 3 times a year. So fall, winter, spring. And that was similar to the NWEA, which we've been reporting out for a lot of years. The difference is with part of this iReady is that we actually have weekly personalized pass for our students. So the students are practicing throughout the week, both in math and reading. And I think that the teachers, what they really appreciate about the program is that they can track to see what areas the students are focusing on. So if they're noticing, for example, from the iReady test, that the area weakness is phonics and numbers and operation, they're going to choose that pathway for the students. So we're actually feeling like they're adjusting based on what the student needs. In addition to that, there's a toolkit that teachers can pull from to create small group or mini lessons for those students. And those tools can be very valuable in supporting students where they are. So I think overall that the teachers are happy with what iReady is providing us for instruction. And they also, I love it as well, because you can kind of see at that moment each week, what are they working on and what are their upcoming lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really helpful for us to know and be able to report out to parents. So the 3 times a year, there's a report that's given to the families as well.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks.
I have a question on that too, in that same vein. In the past, I have felt like we've heard chatter about some stress with students with all of the testing. Have you noticed anything different with this new program?
I feel like the kids, because of the way it's kind of created for them, and you kind of used to it throughout the week of practice. It didn't seem like it was like a big thing to take this test. It's like, oh yeah, we're just signing on their iReady. It's a little bit different. And I feel like the format and whatnot, they do brain breaks for kids, which they like. There's a little bit of like breaks for them as they test. So it doesn't seem like they are stressed at all. But it is different, slightly different than their weekly lessons, because it expands and does like not just one particular content area, but it will ask them geometry questions, algebra questions, and all of it. But I think it's going well so far. But it is different than NWEA. So it's a different way of testing. And as far as upcoming things, like this is the only test that they've actually had so far this year. So it doesn't seem like there's much stress around it at all.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? Thank you very much, Brooke. Very nice job. And again, thank you to all your teachers and staff for all the work that they're doing. So you also have my superintendent report, and I marvel at the pace of progress this year and movement, because I always look back and it feels like so long ago that I wrote whatever I wrote and submitted it, and so much has changed. I think that the most exciting and positive news that I would share that I don't think is here is that the teachers were prioritized for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So before I say more on that, I'd like to, again, thank you as a board for your advocacy on behalf of the teachers and staff of your district. I remain very convinced that the advocacy that happened from the grassroots level, and, there's definitely more formal lobbying going on, but the pressure, the effective communication, the intelligent comments and points that were made really made a difference. And that, combined with the new vaccine, I think set the stage. So thank you for your work on that. So we this is a very active time as it relates to the vaccine. And I am really pleased to say that today I received the codes, which sounds just hilarious to me, but I feel kind of weird even saying it. We received the codes to unlock the signing in for the vaccine. So as soon as I received those, I shared them with all of our employees. And so there are 3 clinics for Bennington County. I'll talk a little bit more about that point in a moment, but these 3 clinics were set up specifically for K-12 educators and childcare providers in Bennington County for the next 3 Saturdays. So March 13th, 20th, and 27th at Southern Vermont College, all day long. They're looking at 600 to 700 vaccines solely for this population. And so I was able to share that with staff, and I know that many of our people were able to get vaccines this weekend, and certainly in the coming weekend. So I think that was there was some really positive energy around that today. I did ask when I connected with the state last week about I mentioned that we have a lot of people who also live in Rutland County. We're actually span 4 counties, as you know, but to your point, Rutland County is a lot of people are closer or living in Rutland County. They didn't have a response to me and said they were going to look into it. I still don't have a response, but there are a lot of different types of opportunities across the state. So the clinics are a possibility in Bennington County. Rutland County, there are a number of things, including Walgreens. Specific districts are having vaccination codes for their district, but it's a much looser model up there. So from what I can tell, many of the teachers have selected to drive down to Bennington because it's clear they can sign up for the clinics, and it was a much simpler process. Those in Rutland County, it's a little bit more complicated, and they might have to travel or continue to try to find a site. So it's all over the place. There are many different ways, but I believe that all of our folks have the opportunity over the next 3 weekends to be vaccinated. And because it's the J&J vaccine, they only need 1 shot. So that is exciting. As you know, it's been tough. And I think this will help people to relax and be able to work under, my hope is, less stressful kind of times for them. So that's the biggest shift in the last week since I wrote this. We are working on recovery planning, which is in there. We still don't have the recovery template, but I'm working on assembling a team right now to engage in that work. And there's a really tight timeline where every district is required to have a recovery plan as we look ahead to how we're going to meet the needs of our students. So anyway, I think that's kind of some of the highlights. I usually don't read through it, so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or talk to you about anything else in my report.
Could we get an understanding of the percentage of staff that has been vaccinated?
I don't even get an understanding of that.
Okay.
It's all protected.
Yep.
I did want to make one comment that 2 of my teachers were able to successfully sign up through Rutland County just on the regular Vermont Health Department, where we would sign up for a COVID test. And they are offering one at the Holiday Inn, which we didn't know until later this afternoon. So it's an easy access for teachers to have opportunities to get vaccinated in Rutland.
Excellent. Does anyone have questions for Randy or Brooke? Okay.
All right, so you also have a very blank work plan in here. And to be completely honest, I haven't quite wrapped my head around sort of the scope of the work coming up. but we did change the format of this. So I wanted to put it in, even though I don't have a lot of information in it yet. So we're going to include the dates now that you've approved them, and kind of so those will go on the vertical axis, and then and then you can see the column headings. So we're going to try to organize this a little bit differently. So as I populate it, we'll see how it works. So next month, you'll see much more information in here, and I'm going to ask you to take a look at it and give me feedback about how the format works for you. Okay. I will be working with Julie to look at, we have a community engagement agenda item coming up tonight, and we'll talk about that. So that will help populate some more of this. We also will want to revisit policy governance. And so some more work and discussion on that. You're going to start seeing that in here. We'll have the retreat, and then putting in those times throughout the year where we can focus on student learning, and you can have presentations and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty empty, but I did want to get it in here so you could see it, and feel free to give me or Julie any feedback about it before the next meeting if you'd like to. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions regarding the work plan? Okay. The next agenda item is community engagement. So we did, I don't know, Anthony and Cynthia, how much you've been following, but at our last retreat, we set a goal as a board to work to become more aware of what our community prioritizes regarding education. And we sort of looked at that through the lens of policy governance, because we were, and still are, I think, although we've slightly tabled it, interested in moving towards a policy governance model for our governance structure. And part of that is working on some new ends goals. And so we kind of felt like we weren't comfortable coming up with a new ends policies without getting some feedback from our community. And so we put together a pretty brief survey. It's included in the packet, the town report, the school town report. And it can be found on the BRSU website. I've sent it to the local fire departments to post on their Facebook page. I believe that Brooke has posted it on the school Facebook page.
I saw yours.
And so we're just trying to get our community to engage with us and just let us know how they prioritize different aspects of education so that we can make more informed decisions in our work. And I believe we set a close date of the 15th of this month. So we only have one more week of this. And then I think that we were interested in gathering, seeing how much data there is before we really delegate any jobs to specific board members. But eventually we'll need to go through this data and figure out what we're doing with it. So that will be what Randy mentioned, that will be added on to our work plan.
No, that makes sense. You got to parse through the data before you know what to do with it. So
I'm happy once it closes that we can put it in a format that we can share with you so that you have a chance to look at it prior to the next meeting, so that as we come back together to talk about it, you've at least had a chance to look through the results that we have. And Celeste has been collecting the hard copies that have been coming to the office and pulling that information together. So you're going to have two different formats. You'll have one through the electronic form. I think we've got about 70 responses or so, right, Bob? And so we can organize that in a way that's usable for you, and then we'll organize all of the print ones as well, and we'll get those to you to review.
Cynthia?
I did the survey. I thought part of the survey was kind of little, I don't know, was hard for me, I did it, but I don't know. I thought it was, the question is sometimes was hard, to answer. So I left it blank, myself. So let's see what they say,
Thank you.
Have you received any back yet, Julie, or?
They're not coming to me, but Randy just said that they had 70 responses so far.
Plus whatever we've got, the hard copies that have been being collected in the office.
Okay.
Did Celeste, did you have your hand up that you wanted to add something or question?
Yeah, I just want to correct Randy. The paper copies that I'm getting, I'm inputting the data right into the electronic survey.
Okay.
So it's all going to be in one spot.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Great.
You're the best, Celeste.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the community engagement?
So we're going to sit down and go over the results.
Yeah, we'll bring them to the April meeting since the format that you use is going to make it easier for you to analyze because it's not open-ended. So we'll bring it to April's meeting and then you can take a look at it and talk about what you want to do with it, how you want to use it. It's intended to inform your ends policies and for you to learn as a board about what the values are of your community members. It'll be interesting to see what it is and see where the conversation goes. I expect that to take a chunk of April's meeting for you to spend on this particular topic.
Okay.
And this was one step in what we wanted to do. So this doesn't have to be our end all of community engagement. It's just kind of gives us a starting point to see where we may want to just make some adjustments to our work.
And I'm just thinking about the timing of when we just scheduled the retreat. It may work really well to have the results, and then you may be well poised in June to start at your retreat talking about your ends policies based on the feedback from this survey. It's good timing, and it's helpful for Brooke as she thinks about next year to have those, your feedback, what your community values in education as she's looking ahead as well.
Great.
Excellent, thank you. Anything else regarding item 7, community engagement? No, okay. Moving on to board updates. I would just like to take a brief moment to welcome our new board members. And I would offer, if you would like to set up a meeting with myself and Corey, if you're available too, and we can just kind of catch them up on some things that we've been working on and policy governance. And if we're going to be continuing on the policy governance path, maybe we'll want to order, we have been reading a book. So we can have Celeste order those for you, Cynthia and Anthony, if you would like those.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I will, I'll send you both an email to your new school board emails and we can set up a time to just check. Okay. Is anything
That works.
else? Does anyone else have a board update? Okay. Self-evaluation. This is packet page 18. Level of engagement of all board members.
Hi.
Yeah, I think everyone participated. It's good.
I would concur.
Should we follow our agenda?
Mhm.
Good.
Yes.
Was our agenda linked to the annual work plan?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then for number 4, sufficient time spent on community engagement.
Yeah.
Ends discussion. So the ends discussion and executive limitations are things that will come along more clearly to you after we go through some policy governance stuff.
Okay.
So don't feel any feelings about it. It's just a neutral thing right now. Appropriate use of consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to comment on what went well with the meeting?
Everybody participate.
Yep.
I also think sticking to the agenda.
I liked the presentation. It was really nice to see. Connects us to why we're here.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think 2 things. I think we talked about wanting to be able to see tangible evidence many meetings back about that our students are improving. And I thought that report was excellent. And I think there were some great questions. And as always, Brooke is just so well prepared and did a great presentation. I like that. And I also like what you said, Randy. I think that this all does fall in very nicely with getting all that data back and having a chance to kind of pull it together, and then having that for the newly scheduled board retreat in June. I think that'll be just falls in really nice timing wise. I think that's good. So I like that about the meeting.
I'm very pleased that we have our new board members with us, and I'm glad all of that came together in a seamless and what do they call that in manufacturing? Like the Kanban, right on time sort of
Just in
delivery.
time. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
I would say that I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you as a board over the last year, and you as individuals, and I just really, really appreciate the work you're doing, and it is terrific to see Anthony and Cynthia join so seamlessly, right? Come to a first meeting and have a board that can really welcome new people in, and new people who can kind of find their space and voice right away. It's uncommon, and it's such a testament to all of you. And I look forward to the months ahead and continuing the work with you as a kind of newly designed board. I feel very positively, and I want to share that with you. So thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Any concerns with the meeting? Excellent. Thank you, newcomers, for being Zoom familiar. That's very helpful too. Any improvements that we can think of?
There was a somewhat painful event that someone sent me because they know I'm involved with the school board, that people may or may not have seen. I think it took place in Westchester County, New York, but an entire school board resigned.
Oh my God.
It was absolutely embarrassing to watch this thing. They were basically all kind of on a Zoom meeting, trashing all the families. I was just like, I don't know, it had all the hubris and sort of thoughtlessness that I've seen politicians have, where they don't think they can get caught doing anything bad or unsavory or unethical. And I guess the entire school board resigned.
Oh my God.
All of them. And it was appropriate that they did, because it was absolutely made me cringe to watch this. I don't know if anybody else saw it. I guess it was national news, and may we all get famous in other ways.
Oh, yeah. Let's all get famous for something besides that. That sounds good. Thank you, Michael.
Well, it was inspiring about how well behaved we are, and seriously, how ethically conducted these. I was just shocked at what I had to watch. I don't know, Anthony, you're shaking your head. You see this?
Yeah, I saw it. It was yeah, I can't believe it.
Oh, boy. Okay. Any public comment?
Celeste, is there anybody on YouTube?
I was just checking. No, there's nobody there.
Okay. Well, if there's no public comment, I'll call this meeting closed at 7:45. Thank you all.